Krishna. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Bhanachari Jamunatira Bhanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjano Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjano Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjano Jamunatira Bhanachari Jamunatira Bhanachari Tira Bhanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ho Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Madhava ki Shri Radha Giridhari ki Gaura Premanandi. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhattaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Vishesha Sundari Vasaryadi Shatarini. There's an expression you hear more and more in this age of machines and devices. It's called, I pushed the wrong button. So I pushed the wrong button. It asked me if I wanted to go ahead with all the upgrades. I thought I pushed later, and I pushed now. So if I could get a book from the closet, because it's just upgrading. I've been downgraded as a fool for pushing the wrong button, but this has been upgraded. So... You're right on the verse? Okay, we're good. Okay, evam. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 27th chapter. Today's verse is 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napa Kuruta Atmaramasya Karhichit Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napa Kuruta Atmaramasya Karhichit Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napa Kuruta Atmaramasya Karhichit. Please chant. Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napakuruta Atmanamasya Karhichit Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Atmanamasya Karhichit. Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napakuruta Atmaramasya Karhichit. Atmaramasya Karhichit. Anyone else? Dhammatar. Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napakuruta Atmaramasya Karhichit. Evam Vidita Tatvasya Prakritir Maimanasam Yunjato Napakuruta Karhichit. Okay. Word for word. Evam. Thus. Vidita Tatvasya. To one who knows the absolute truth. Prakritihi. Material nature. Mai. Unto me. Manasam. The mind. Yunjataha. Fixing. Na. Not. upakurute, can do harm. Atma aramasya, to one who rejoices in the self. Karhi chit, at any time. Translation. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute, and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute, and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Kapila says that Mayi Manasam, a devotee whose mind is always fixed upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Atmarama or Viditatva. Atmarama means one who rejoices in the self, or one who enjoys in the spiritual atmosphere. Atma, in the material sense, means the body or the mind, but when referring to one whose mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Atmarama means one who is fixed in spiritual activities in relationship with the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is the personality of Godhead, and the individual soul is the living entity. When they engage in reciprocation of service and benediction, the living entity is said to be in the Atmarama position. This Atmarama position can be attained by one who knows the truth as it is. The truth is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the enjoyer, and that the living entities are meant for his service and enjoyment. One who knows this truth and who tries to engage all resources in the service of the Lord escapes all material reactions and influences of the modes of material nature. An example may be cited in this connection. Just as a materialist engages in constructing a big skyscraper, a devotee engages in constructing a big temple for Vishnu. Superficially, the skyscraper constructor and the temple constructor are on the same level, for both are collecting wood, stone, iron, and other building materials. But the person who constructs a skyscraper is a materialist, and the person who constructs a temple of Vishnu is Atmarama. The materialist tries to satisfy himself in relation to his body by constructing a skyscraper, but the devotee tries to satisfy the Superself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by constructing the temple. Although both are engaged in the association of material activities, the devotee is liberated and the materialist is conditioned. This is because the devotee who is constructing the temple has fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the non-devotee who is constructing the skyscraper has his mind fixed in sense gratification. If, while performing any activity, even in material existence, one's mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the Personality of Godhead, one will not be entangled or conditioned. The worker in devotional service and full Krishna consciousness is always independent of the influence of material nature. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksul Unminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just want to check the beginning of these two chapters to see which the right verse. Here we go. Okay. So I have a few different references here, but what just came to mind in this verse, the influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, what came to mind is the confusion that Arjuna has in the Bhagavad Gita. Many times it's brought up that why did Krishna pick Arjuna to speak the Bhagavad Gita to? There's many different reasons. Of course, Bhakto sime sakha cheti rasamatarutamam. Krishna picked someone who would understand it. You ever talk to someone who doesn't know what you're saying? right? It's not a good idea. So Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita because he wanted perpetually for devotees and the conditioned souls from there on in to have a dialogue which explains the absolute truth, explains him. So he picked a devotee, and that verse is there. Because you're my devotee, and because you're not envious, you can understand this mystery. And my friend, right? Bhakto, Sakha, like that. So the conversation's beginning, and of course Arjuna, he's a worldly man, as promised, right? He's a prince, a king to be, and right on a battlefield. Talk about being absorbed in seemingly mundane activities. Do you ever think it like if you have to fight someone? It's like immediately like that doesn't seem like an enlightened activity, right? Even if you have to protect yourself, it doesn't seem like an enlightened activity. Sometimes when you have to protect another devotee, it's kind of an enlightened activity. You grab your kartals and start going at them. You ever have to do that? Harinam? It's quite exhilarating. Downtown SanDiego. Those were the days. I'll tell you some stories at breakfast. But the point is that Krishna tells Arjuna, don't fight. Arjuna says, I don't want to fight. And Krishna's saying, fight. And Arjuna's confused because, wait a second, I'm willing to just walk away from this and be spiritual. Give it all up and all this violence. And what for? A kingdom, a temporary kingdom of this world? And better I just walk away from it. Shanti, be peace. And Krishna's saying, no, you have to fight. And there's some preliminary conversation in the second chapter. In the beginning of the third chapter, because Krishna's saying, one who's in knowledge and wisdom, buddhi and all that, he stops all material activities. He doesn't, Then Arjuna's confused. He says here, Arjuna said, "O Janardhan, O Kesava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruit of work?" And he's confused, and it comes up again. On one hand, you're saying the spiritual path is one without any karma, reaction, and mundane activities, and one should be equiposed and beyond this material. And then right next breath, you're saying, fight. So it's kind of confusing. What is this? What are you saying? So what is being brought out here? What does it mean to be spiritual in this material world? And that's what's being brought out here, is that the devotees of the Lord, although in this world and acting in this world, says the influence of material nature cannot harm them. There's no reaction, right? There's no reaction. Because they're acting on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example Prabhu would give many, many times, and it's quite strong, is that one in the military service, if they're told to go and kill a bunch of people, not only is there no reaction from the government, but they even pin medals on them. Was it Napoleon Bonaparte? Remember old Napoleon? Somehow he gets the rap for crazy people, right? You ever talk about crazy people? Someone thinks he's Napoleon. But he had a famous quote. He said, "Men will do the most amazing things just to have medals on their chest." Like that. I think he was the one who perpetuated the big thing with medals on people's chest. All the wars, and he said, men will do amazing things. They'll sacrifice everything just to have some medals on their chest. Like that. So the point is, they'll even put a medal on you. My father has this, he passed away, but he has this big thing in the hallway because he was in the Army and the Air Force, three wars, and World War II, Korea and Vietnam, all these medals and things like that, a whole board of them like that. Never shot anyone. The only thing he ever shot was a water buffalo in the Philippines on accident in the middle of the night. He thought it was the enemy coming. He was on guard duty. I asked him, "Did you ever get in a battle?" He goes, "The only thing I ever shot was a water buffalo on accident." Like that. So he was shot at, but never shot anyone. But the point is, they'll put a medal on you. But that same person, when they get out of the military and they go shoot someone, that's it. Lock them up for life or the death penalty. Now, why is that? So, you had me shoot so many people and you put medals on me. I just shoot one at my neighbor and you get all upset. What's the problem? It seems to be the same. Gun's a gun, bullet's a bullet. But there's a big difference. Because one, you're acting completely on behalf of the government, and the other against the government. So in the same way, when we're acting completely on behalf of Krishna in this material world, we're completely protected. It's the material nature cannot harm us like that. What is the harm that the material nature influences upon the living entity. That's another question to come up here. What does that mean, harm? Someone can say, well, the jiva, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, can't be burned by fire, withered by the wind, and this and that. And what does it mean, harm? Covered, yes. Just like the verse about the mahata trayate. Delivered from the most, what is it? Swapam apyasa dharmasetu trayate mahato bayat. So the mahato bayat, the big fear. What's the big fear? There's some little fears, but what's the mahato bayat? Fear, bayat means fear. Mahata, the big one. What's the big one? Yes, to go down. In fact, many times Prabhupada says, go to hell, or no, I just read this is appropriate here, this reading. The darkest regions. Prabhupada says, what does it mean, the darkest regions? It means not just lower species, but it means complete forgetfulness of Krishna. That's the dark region. Just like if you go into a dark area, you can't see anything. So sometimes the example is given of absolute darkness. The only place you can find really absolute darkness, or one example is you go into these caves. They have these tours in these caves, like the Laverne Caverns and this. There's some of these few in this country that are famous. And you go in there, and then you turn out the light for a minute. And it is so dark, you can't even see the nose on your face or anything. You wouldn't even be able to see your hand. And they give it just a few seconds because people start flipping out. They start getting really nervous because there's no perception like that. So the dark, dark, dark means no perception of the self, of who we are. And it's unnerving, even that example. They just unhinge is the word. So that is the great harm that we're talking about here, is that the material nature can cover us in forgetfulness of Krishna. It's very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Something to be afraid of. Like that. Some people, I don't see them anymore. Remember those old shirts, no fear? Remember the old, it was everywhere, no fear. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe someone, huh? I guess they realized it wasn't true. But yeah, the only person is Abhay Charanada. That's the only fearless person. But the point is, I'm not afraid of anything. Yes, you are. And you should be. There's something to be said for a healthy fear of the right things. You have to be afraid. You have to be afraid of the right things. And that's not being a coward, right? Just like we put you in the boxing ring with, I don't even know who's out there these days. You know who's a good one? You know who became a famous boxer? Muhammad Ali's daughter.
Oh, no way.
Yes. Saw an interview. She doesn't do it anymore. Yeah, out of accident. She wasn't thinking about it, and she won all these world-class awards. A woman boxer. She doesn't have a flat nose or anything like that. I guess she did pretty good. But yeah. So we'll make it easy. Well, you won't fight with a woman. So we'll just, like you said, Michael Tyson, like that. We'll put you in there. Do you think how are you going to do? Is that something to be afraid of? Do you think you should climb out of the ring? I would. Just climb out of the ring, say, Haribo, you won. Like that. Because, there's certain things we should be afraid of. Like that. And as Dravida Prabhu was saying yesterday, the verse you were quoting is that from Akrura, that we enjoy the things that are causes of suffering. We're afraid of the thing. We're not afraid of things we should be afraid of. This is all the symptoms of the conditioned soul. We got it upside down. What was the word used? Viparya. Everything's backwards. It's upside down. It's all mixed up. We got it all wrong. So we're learning from our spiritual masters, from the Bhagavatam and so on, what is what. Who is who and what is what. Right? Right? That's what we're learning. That's intelligence. Who is who and what is what to be afraid of, what not to be afraid of. And that's described here in the Bhagavad Gita also, in the different modes of nature. Someone in the mode of ignorance has got it all backwards. Right? Religion to be irreligion, this, that. Like that. What's considered to be good now is actually bad. And even in the course of 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's become so degraded that something that even 20 years ago, 30 years ago was considered, you don't do that. Now you just do it. And no one says a thing about it. It's interesting, huh? How it just becomes degraded. The lower and lower you go in the modes, anything goes like that. They're not afraid. but they should be afraid. So the verse came to mind also from the Bhagavad Gita about the devotees of the Lord and being not to be harmed by the material nature is the famous Mahatmanastu Mamparta, Daivim Prakritim Asritaha, Bhajanta Ananya Manaso Gyatva Bhutadam Aviyam. O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. So if Krishna is protecting you, what do you have to worry about? Nothing. Okay. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. This is like a nutshell of the whole purport that Prabhu just wrote, right? What does it mean? Their minds are fully absorbed on the spiritual platform, Atmarama, and that's not something impersonal. It's very, very personal. And that's what Krishna is saying here. Because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. And they're fully engaged in devotional service, and therefore they're completely protected by the Supreme Lord. That's what he's saying here. They're under the protection of the divine nature. We have two choices. Just like, you have security in your house, you can call two companies. Right? One that actually offers the security and one that doesn't. One's a front for a bunch of thieves or something like that. So we take shelter of Krishna's energy and be protected, or we think, let me call this other number, 1-800-Maya, like that. Maybe I'll get some protection there. But will the material nature protect us? No, she is the thief. Right? So sometimes they have these fronts, security companies. We'll fix up the security. And as soon as you're gone on vacation, your house is empty. It's a scam. Right? It's there. Yeah. Like that. Or the security company calls. That's usually what happens. They call, someone's on vacation. And you just come on and say, how did they know we were gone? We just have this fantastic security system and all. They call the security system. I was on the blink that day. Yeah, what amazing how that happened. Like that. So, and then it's even another verse in the Bhagavad Gita which shows how dear devotees are to Krishna and how the protection is there, is this last verse, or second to last verse of the chapter, of this 9th chapter, Apichet Suraracharo, Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak, Sadureva Samantavya Samyag Vyasato Hisa. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, he's to be considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. So here it's saying that, great devotees, enlightened souls, they may engage in apparently material activities, but they're completely under the protection of the Lord. Krishna is going so far as saying even such a great soul may do something socially, shouldn't be doing things like that, or one may have a temporary setback, but still Krishna says, I consider such persons saintly and I protect them. They're my devotees. So much protection is given by the Lord to his devotees that even the devotee makes some mistakes like that. It's quite interesting. It's quite encouraging like that. We shouldn't take advantage of it, but it's just showing how the devotee, even the devotees make some mistakes or something, Krishna's still there like that. He's still there to help like that. And he's protecting us. Because it says devotee is properly situated in his determination, he's not giving up the process of devotional service. For whatever reason, you can call it kind of a respite or a little deviation or something, but he's still on the path of devotional service. On every journey, there's always going to be, just like you go to India or something like that, you have a layover. You stop moving, right? You sit in Hong Kong for 12 hours. Like that. You're on your way to India, but you're not moving. So in our devotional service, there are times we may not be moving, but we're still going. As long as we hold on to our ticket and get on the next plane, like that, we're going. So there are times like that. So Krishna is saying, as long as you hold on to the ticket, as long as you're still engaged in devotional service, there may be some setbacks, but I still consider you my devotee. Like that. It's not that one chance and that's it, you're out. Goodbye. Had it with you, Ryan. No more. Krishna's not like that. I'm no, what I'm saying is Krishna's not like that. As long as you're properly situated, Krishna's always there. He's helping. Like that. And there's some other verses here in the Gita that talk about how one is engaged in devotional service and how, just like this, they're completely protected by the Lord. Just wanted to read those and then we can speak a little bit. Let's see, it's 21. Here it is. The 4th chapter. I'll just read the translations. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he's not affected by sinful reactions. So that's what it's saying here. The material nature can't influence him, can't harm the devotee. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled although performing activities. Exactly what this verse is saying. Like that. He doesn't have his hand in the pot. That's why. He's doing his duty for Krishna. And it may appear like a mundane activity. Like Prabhu always jokes, he'd bring up the point like in Los Angeles, how the neighbors would say, oh, you have so many cars, you have this and that. It's envious, like that. Prabhu said, why don't they come and join us? Why don't they come and join us? You're just singing and dancing and feasting all day long. And you have money and cars. And so Prabhu says, why don't you come and join us? Well, they're thinking, oh, you're engaged in all these mundane activities and this and that. But it's completely different. Or Prabhu would say, Prabhu would be going to in Delhi, printing his books, collecting paper, raising the funds, going every day, overseeing the proofreading, like that, to produce books. So what kind of sannyasi is this? He'd leave Vrindavan, come to the hustle and bustle of Delhi, right, to print his books. So somebody says, oh, it seems like a mundane activity. You're supposed to just stay in Vrindavan and chant. But it's completely transcendental. It's of the highest caliber, right? Highest caliber of spiritual activities is to deliver the conditions, directly delivering the conditioned souls. So whatever it is, printing the books, as Prabhu gives the example, building a temple, like a spiritual shelter for people. These are all completely transcendental, and they may appear mundane to the outsider because they don't understand. They don't understand the last sentence of the purport, how Prabhu says, is always independent. The independence of the devotee. He can act in this material world and do so many wonderful things, and he doesn't have to worry because he's just doing everything for Krishna. That's true independence. Like that. And then I think the last one here was here. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. That's the point. The work we're doing is not mundane, it's transcendental. And this is the last one, the famous Brahma verse, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir. Like that. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because he's of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So these are all elaborations on this point that is being made here in this verse. It's very quite significant. And again, it's the answer to Arjun's dilemma. He's confused in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. You ask me to act in this world, but on the other hand, what does it mean to be transcendental? The impersonalists can't understand it. The sahajiyas can't understand it. The sentimentalists can't understand it like that. Because they've taken Krishna out of the equation. But the devotee, because of his full knowledge, that Prabhupada says here, that there's a wonderful sentence here about here it is. When they engage in reciprocation of service and benediction. That's so wonderful. Krishna and the devotees engage in this wonderful reciprocation of service and reciprocation. That's what's going on. Benediction. What did I say? The reciprocation of service and benediction. The living entity is said to be in his Amarama position. And that's completely out of reach of others. Because we know Krishna, serving Krishna, and then Krishna's benedicting. And that it just keeps going on eternally. That reciprocation is there. The devotees are feeling that reciprocation, and Krishna is appreciating the service. And what is the blessing? One is completely protected from the influence of the material nature. In fact, the material nature just releases the devotees. So many stories that just says, I have no more concern with you. You're free to go. Because what does Durga mean? Durga. Can't go. It's like the what do you call it inside the jail? The guy who runs the jail, the warden. She's like the warden. So they'll let you go. You can't say, hey, can I go out to walk around? No. You can't go anywhere. But how can I? No. Get back in your cell. Like that. But if it's time for you to go, you've got your, what do you call it, parole, or you're out. Yeah, maybe the warden just slaps you on the back. Says, goodbye, I'm glad it's all worked out, and I have no, right? You've been excused by the governor, and have a good time, have a good life. And they just open the door and you go. So Maya just says like that. You don't belong here anymore. Get out. You're a free man. Get out. You don't belong here. I have no jurisdiction over you whatsoever. You've been blessed, forgiven and blessed by the government. So just go. So that's what happens. The only other thing I didn't get to read, I was going to pick a verse or two, but there's the story of Priyavrata Maharaj. Was it Priyavrata who didn't want to take over the kingdom? And everyone was trying, because he was thinking the same thing. He was up in the Himalayas meditating. He was a king, the king to be or whatever, prince. He didn't want to take over the kingdom. He was having such a good time. Narada Muni encouraged him, who else? He called Swayambhuva Manu, Lord Brahma, to come also, right? Narada wanted to stay, but then others said, no, we need you to go. We need you to be the king. He said, those are all kind of mundane activities. And his concern was, I'll fall into Maya. He didn't want to shirk responsibility, but I don't want to fall into Maya. Prabhu, right? Yeah, and you have to be careful about that. There could be I could ask you to do something, you say, that's a little too much. I could fall into Maya. You have to say that. I don't know. So the devotees are concerned, I don't want to fall into Maya. You're asking me to leave. I'm living here in an ashram up in the Himalayas, and and I know I'm supposed to go down and take over a whole kingdom with queens and kids and horses and elephants and armies, and what a change, right? If you became the governor of California tomorrow, okay, now time. Okay, your time in the ashram's over, Damodar. Go to Sacramento. You're now the governor of California. You got to run the state. What do you think about that? Would you be a little bit fearful of that? Maybe a little Maya there? Right? So, just like that. So I got to leave the ashram. I got to be the king of the world. Practically the world is Priyavrata. But he did it. He did. And he was blessed that he'd always be protected by the Supreme Lord if he's always meditating on Krishna. That was the whole conversation there. So you can look that up there in the 5th canto. So it's 8:30. I know breakfast is probably not till a little later, like that. But are there any questions or comments? You have 2 hands up.
I actually do have 2 hands. First, a small question. You said the Priyavrata pastime in the 5th canto?
Isn't it? Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in regards to this idea that even if the devotee deviates or does something wrong or whatever, that if they're still determined to be a devotee, that Krishna considers them to still devotee the same thing or whatever. So I've heard numerous statements in my time in ISKCON that if you don't follow the 4 regs, you can't make any advancement, period. Like, you don't follow the 4 regs, you can't make any advancement, period. Like no advancement at all, 0. And I've heard numerous statements like that. Yeah, I know this devotee in Denver who is a Prabhupada disciple. He has a serious injury, I guess, from Vietnam. And every morning he shows up to Mongol Arti, but before you can come to Mongol Arti, you have to pop an opiate painkiller. Before you can even get out of bed, he wakes up at 3, pops the painkiller, he lays it for 45 minutes, so it takes in, and then he can get up. So every day, like all day long, he's drugged out on opiates. But he chants 60 rounds a day, he shows up to Mongol Arti every day, he goes to the gift shop. You have a famous sannyasi in ISKCON who admitted to having a pornography addiction for many, many years, apparently. So are we saying that none of these are devotees making any advancement at all, like period?
I'm not saying that. So you need to check with whoever is telling you that if you're not following the 4 regular principles, you cannot make any advancement. The thing is, there's 2 things. One is if you are following, your advancement is quicker, because those are impediments, But if you're not, to the extent we're following, we move quickly. But if we, but everyone's a work in progress, and everyone should be encouraged, whatever level they're at, because chanting Hare Krishna in any condition of life, you're making advancement. But as just like the 10 offenses against the holy name, chant Hare Krishna, you're making advancement. But if you, to the extent we clear ourselves of the 10 offenses, then it moves very, very quick. It's kind of like having weights on, You move real slow. Sometimes you see these people, they put these extra weights on themselves. Their ankles and this and that, and they go walking, to build up their muscles. And I have extra weight. Why do you think they put balls and chains on prisoners in the old days? It's kind of hard to run away from the guards when you get this big ball on your, chain. You pick it up and run with it, So that's what it is. The prescription is there how to move very, very quickly in one's Krishna consciousness is to give up these bad habits, because they're only impediments. They're nothing more than impediments. But anyone, that's the Krishna consciousness. Taking prasad, anything you do, you're making some advancement. But there was the examples like the elephant, right? Bathes very, very nicely, then comes out of the water, and what does it do? Throws dust all over itself. So it's just, So we don't want to do that. Engage in devotional service, throw a little dust back, like that. So I would let those devotees know that that's not, I don't know, find that anywhere. Do you find it anywhere? One can make no advancement. Yeah, it's medication. Medication. Yeah.
My understanding is that they didn't probably take some of that.
Right.
Because it's essential for his health. So it's one thing. The other one, yeah, is definitely. My understanding is like, as you say, you can make a certain amount of advancement, but this is more like a holding pattern. You can't really go very far to get into that. But there's two things. One is simple activities, and the other is offending devotees. Now it's true that the breaking the regs, the Prabhupada said, is an offense to him. So that's obviously